Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Toon Review, where tonight it is another transfer show as the transfer window is getting closer very, very quickly. The World Cup is about to get underway, and as soon as that World Cup's over, it is all hands to the pump, and it's very, very interesting. So Alex has done his homework again on these players that have recently been linked. And we'll see what is to come. But as usual, guys, if you like the show, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, do hit the subscribe button. Come and be part of this fantastic community on this channel. And hit the notification bell, which will let you know when we go live or we upload a video. And, of course, you can contribute to the channel if you do so wish tonight by hitting the $sign just underneath the live comments, and that'll take you through to a payment method. So thank you very much in advance for that. And why not become a member of the Toon Review? Just hit the join button, and that will take you through the sign-up process for that. So we'll get a few comments in before we get going. Ian says, apparently Ronaldo has said something to Piers Morgan. Indeed, some of the stuff that he said is quite explosive, to say the least. And I don't think we'll be seeing Ronaldo in a Manchester United shirt anytime soon after that interview. Jay Spencer says, now Arsenal can't get him. If Arsenal get him, I'm not sure. Or Modric is a star. We need him more than Arsenal. If we don't get him, the club is not ambitious. I'm not so sure about that, to be fair. Ian's disagreeing. This club is not ambitious. Tell him to take his head for a shake. Cesare, the usual shenanigans on the channel. Remember to keep comments respectful. No all caps are duplicates, and enjoy the show. There's a bit of arguing between Ian and Mr. Spencer going on there, but we'll skip past that. Evening, trolls. Good evening to Alvin. Pilo Keith, good evening to you. Chippers, good evening. Sean says, good evening, everyone. Have you put Roy up for transfer, Paul? I think the only player I would go for in the January window is James Maddison and pay the 65 million asking fee. Yeah, I noticed Mr. Caviani moonlighting again on Sinclair's channel. He likes to get about. Keith says, with the win on Saturday, Newcastle has the second highest points tally against the Big Six with 8 points. Only Arsenal and Man United more with 9. Good evening to John's back door. Rachel is modding away backstage. Up the A1, evening, Paul and Alex. Looking forward to an informative night. Troll says, I think Modric would only come if we get Champions League, from what I've read. Carl, good evening to you. Hope you're okay, mate. Good evening, Matt. James Pope is in the house. Wes, good evening to you. David Smith says, good evening, everybody. What a weekend. Indeed, it was. James says, I hope I'm not the only fan who does not want to see Ronaldo anywhere near our club. No player is bigger than the club. He's past it. I don't think we'll see Ronaldo at Newcastle United somehow. Would you see him in a black and white shirt, Alex?
No, absolutely not.
No.
I'm not even going to elaborate. Just no. At this point, just no.
Excellent. Indeed, totally agree. Let's have a look. Everyone's saying hello. Ricard, good evening to you. One player I would love to bring in is Modric, but I don't think he's worth the value that Shakhtar price him at the moment, says James. Mary, good evening to you. Dominic, I have faith in Eddie Howe. He will only pick new players that have the right attitude and will fit in. Good evening, Mason. Old intro, nice. Yeah, people have been asking for that back, so there you go. Joe, good evening to you. Ian says the real question is, who do you drop at the moment for new players coming in? Well, that's up to the manager, of course. Cesare likes the intro as well, reminds him of the takeover. Yeah, so does Ian. MB says, hello, everyone, from a Northern Irish man working in Inverness for the week. Wow, way up north. V for Vendetta, good evening to you. Mark Allen, good evening. Pete, David, Clarkey, Stu, Julie, Brian, good evening. So many people in here. Carlos says, evening all. Anyone seen the Under the Kosh podcast with Trippier? It's a great watch. I haven't watched it yet, but I will watch that later on tonight. John's backdoor says Ronaldo can do one. Wouldn't want him. Yeah, just not a team player at all. No way. Rochi says, do you think we will put a bid in for Modric? look, you know what these shows are like. What we do on here, we look at the players that have been linked. We're not saying for 1 second that they're definitely going to sign for Newcastle United. What we look at is maybe what they would bring to Newcastle, and we look at the stats of how they've been playing, and that's what we do. So, whether we put a bid in for him or not, we don't know. I think there probably is genuine interest there because it's been mentioned numerous times. So I guess we'll wait and see. Luke says, I hope you're well, guys. Hoping to get Maddison and Trossard in January. Trossard's an even interesting one for me. He's sort of come out the blue the last few weeks. Don says, got to love a Toon Review transfer show. Top stuff, guys. Thanks, Don. Foster says, praying we get Trossard. Sean doesn't think that Leicester will sell in January. I think they may have to. But look, again, at the end of the day, if Maddison wants out, then, they're not going to... They're definitely not going to risk losing him for no money. I know he's got a year left or something on his contract, but they're not going to do that. And Maddison himself, Leicester aren't going to get into Europe next season. I think it would be a minor miracle if they did that. And for Maddison, he wants to be at a club that's going to start winning things, and he's already told Ian Wright he wants to come to Newcastle. So for me, why would I doubt what Ian Wright said? No reason not to. Shamrock says, good evening, gents. Haven't been this buzzing to be a Toon fan in a long time. John's backdoor says Maddison and Trossard would be good. Also like to see a right back come in. Cover for Kieran Trippier would be good. Top 3 at Christmas. Who would have thought that a year ago? Were you coming for Arsenal? Rickard said, Tomori pissed and probably realised that he needs to go to the Premier League to get a fair chance for the England squad in the future. Should go for him in January or the summer. Interesting.
I think reverse. I think sack Southgate, and if players want to go and play in different leagues, they can. It doesn't mean they're not good. It's a joke. They should still be picked based on merit. He won the Italian league. He's not a bad player. He's had a bit of a wobbly start, definitely, to the Serie A, but this season. But he's better than a couple of those defenders they've got in at least.
Absolutely. Alvin, thank you very much for your $10 super chat, mate. Good evening, Paul, Alex, and the mod squad. Looking forward to another great show. Thank you very much. Not NFC related, but who are you backing for the World Cup Golden Boot? Well, we'll talk about that now. World Cup shows which are coming up, David. So keep an eye on the channel for those. Ali says, Man United are so lucky, man. I swear they have scored all their winning goals in the last minutes. Nothing changes. Not sure what anyone else thinks, but I look at our starting 11 and my love for my club says I wouldn't swap any of them. So who drops out to make way for the likes of Maddison? Again, that is up to our manager. Jackie says I would go for a world-class left winger. Interesting. Nathan says, am I the only one who doesn't think we can get Maddison in January? Don't see him leaving Leicester mid-season. Well, again, just I mentioned before, he will have a big opportunity at Newcastle to actually come and win things and win a lot of things. And he does want to be part of that, or we're led to believe. I think it will either be Modric or Maddison, not both. Why not both? Why not?
I would tend to agree with that. I could be wrong, but I just think they're both going to be a big whack, and I'm not sure we'll go for two. That would be like having 2 Isaks in the summer. I just think it's a bit pricey.
Well, be interesting. With us pushing for top 4, I honestly think we will sign 3 players. Because we can't go into Europe with our bench. The quality in Europe is too much for this squad. But don't forget we'll have a summer transfer window as well as the winter one. Ken says need players who fit in the Toon family. Would rather not sign anyone if they rock the boat. Our team at the minute is 100% for each other. And that's the difficulty that he faces, isn't it, Alex? Is making sure that the players come in with the right attitude.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to remember that the tail end of our squad is so bloated right now that you don't bring in players under the assumption that they're going to start. We brought Bruno in, and he didn't start for ages. Nobody's guaranteed a starting spot. Isak was told, Wilson's number 1 at the moment. Isak has to play better to get in the squad. I mean, realistically, we've got Richie, Dummett, Matty Longstaff, Clark, and Karius, all with contracts expiring in January or in the summer. That's 5 we've got to replace, plus whatever we end up doing with Dubravka, Hendrick, Hayden, and Kel Watts, who've also got, they've been out on loan with possible things set up for purchases. So that's 9 players, 9 in our squad. So January plus the summer, there's going to be a big turnover. I know we talked about we didn't want to have a big turnover straight away, and it's still been fairly quick. But there will be lots of recycling come the summer because there's potentially somewhere between 5 and 9 out the door. So they need replacing, and our academy is not incredible. It's getting better. So
it's getting a lot better with what they've got coming in, but that's just going to be a continuation in weeks and months to come. The academy is going to be improved on a very regular basis. Certainly, it's good to see us looking at so many youngsters to bring in to improve the academy.
I forgot Mark Gillespie as well. It depends whatever they do with him.
Everyone has. Who is Mark Gillespie?
Where is he? Has anybody seen him?
Is he real? Mental. Alice's question, would you spend big in January to get the Champions League or spend in the summer and push for Champions League the season after with a more quality squad?
I mean, I wouldn't fast track the summer money into January. I'd just spend appropriately in January. I'm sure that's what the club will try and do.
I think it's fair to say that the club as a whole wouldn't have expected to be where they are right now. Going into the World Cup break. I think certainly being in the top 8 probably would have been what they were looking at, but 3rd in the league and having the season that we've had, it may well jumpstart them into spending a little bit more money in January than they were going to. But Eddie Howe has already stated many, many times in interviews that he is only going to bring in players that he feels are right for the club.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of annoying journalists with this comment, nobody's got Scooby-Doo what's going on. We've got all the Saudi representatives turned up at St. James's Park, and then we had the advertising boards mid-match. Nobody's done an article on I've not seen anything substantial on what that was about, whether there's anything in the works. Nobody seems to know anything concrete. And then that leads on to how much money are we going to have in the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years? When are the sponsorships coming in? How long's a piece of string? We don't know. We literally just don't know. Nobody knows. It's only the people even, to be fair, to a point, maybe they don't even know in the club yet. Maybe they're not sure what they're going to get approved and pushed through and when and how much. We've got to be careful. And spending Champions League money that we don't have in advance is risky. I don't like that strategy. Arsenal did it, and they didn't get Champions League, but they had really good commercial revenue and revenue sources from other places that we weren't getting. So, I think they'll do it the safe way. They won't do it the risky way. Yeah. They'll do whatever's best for the club.
Absolutely. Dan said it was funny to see the Skiprat fans throwing the shirts back and they wonder why the players won't play for them. Bad vibes equals bad times. I watched the clip tonight of it wasn't just shirts being thrown back. I mean, Pickford was arguing with them. He was just disagreeing with the fans. A lot of the players just stood there. I think Seamus Coleman was probably the only one that got an applause, but he's obviously been at the club a long, long time. But even Frank Lampard was like doing this to calm them down, and it was funny to see because I mean, honestly, the absolute hilarity of it all. It was just absolutely mad. Just seeing the shirts being thrown back, and then of course all the arguments and stuff like that. Matt says, any plans for a transfer deadline day live show? Well, Matt, if you look back on the channel, the last 2 deadline days we've been live through the whole day, and that will be the case again in January. We will. I think it'd be a bit of an exciting one in January because I think teams are going to make last-minute bids to try and get players in to challenge during the season. So, yes, we will. Shamrock says, I think Trossard would be a great signing. Showboat says Fraser, Ritchie, and Murphy out. Murphy, I don't know. I think he's deserving an opportunity, Murphy.
We can't get rid of all the wingers at once.
Exactly. It'll be very messy if we did that. Clark says
Murphy, by the way, has a contract until 2027. So
I don't think he's going
of
anywhere.
anybody. It's going to be Fraser or who's the other person? Richie's gone anyway. Richie's contract's running out in the summer. And Ryan Fraser is still only just off the top of your head. How old's Ryan Fraser, Paul?
Off the top of my head, I would say 30.
No, this I was talking to Rob Rubenstein the other day, and he said exactly the same thing. He's 28. He's still only 28. Only 28. He's the same age as Miggy. Everybody thinks he's over the hill. He's technically peak age.
Yeah,
funny that everybody
he's not in the same league
everybody thinks
now,
he's 30. I don't know why. It's hilarious.
I thought he was older than that, mind. I have to say, I'm very surprised at 27. Jesus,
28.
Alex, who would you pick to partner Botman next season? Because the other centre backs are older by some age.
Fabian Schär.
Yeah, he's still in.
That was really disrespectful to say anything but Fabian Schär.
Yeah, he's got
we will need another person to come in to be an understudy or a place challenger, but it's got to be Fabian Schär.
Yeah. JFJR says, what about Dominic Sloboslai for DM? Did I got that right, haven't I?
Sloboslai, yeah.
Sloboslai, yeah. Well, you know.
Slobber.
Slobber.
Yeah, he's a very, very good player. As a lot of people saw him bully us against England in the international stage. He's been a good player for a few years now, and I'm surprised he's not made a move. Maybe it's coming. We'll see. Yeah. I don't think he's appeared on our radar at all, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I've never seen him mentioned at all, to be honest. Dark by Design says Modric looks Arsenal bound, even if he did an interview. He even did an interview with Zinchenko's wife the other day.
I mean, it's probably because they're both Ukrainian more than the Arsenal thing. But yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's interesting. Who is this muddy dude everyone is on about? Modric. He's a very, very, very good player. Sean says right back is clearly a backup is clearly a position we're looking at. John says with Alexander Isak's returning to fitness soon, do you think we will sign another striker and sell Wood? I don't think so.
Probably not.
No. I think Wood will remain third choice striker. I don't see any change there. Alvin says would like to see Madison, Andres Santos, Angelo Gabriel, and Modric. That's not asking for too much, is it? It's asking for a lot, Alvin, I think. Mary said we had fog in the south of England all day. Is that because to celebrate as Toon are in the top three? Yeah, it's
very foggy today down south.
Yeah, it's been foggy up here as well. It's like pea soup outside at the minute. But yeah, it was just off all the flares and fireworks going off from St. James's Park on Saturday. It's still hanging around. Robert says January transfer window, as much as Madison is a target, I don't think we should go for him. If he has a good World Cup, be too much inflation.
Does it matter?
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does. We want to buy the right fit. The club have said if it's the right fit, they'll pay.
Yeah.
And he's the right age profile, the right attributes, technical ability. It just kind of fits what we need. So why not?
I agree.
Sometimes it doesn't matter paying the inflated price if it's necessary. As long as it's not doing a Man United paying the inflated price, there's a difference.
Yeah, massive difference. Ali says if Kual plays well in the World Cup, he could come in and save us having to spend money on a winger. Plus, Isak can slot in wherever on that front line, so I think a winger is less likely. I did hear if Kual plays a certain amount of games in the World Cup, Alex, that helps in getting him a work permit. Would Eddie be swayed on that, do you think? Or will he stick to what he said about sending them out on loan?
I did 5 minutes of digging on this and had other things to research and didn't get a concrete answer. So if there's anybody that knows more than me about that, I'm not sure exactly what the situation is on that visa. But I would imagine he will go back out anyway on loan because he's still very, very young. And it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on a lot of factors. we will have already been. The season will be back and kicking. We'll have already played Leicester and Leeds by the time he arrives. It will be well and truly back in swing. So it's not like he's going to arrive during a break. So, and he'll probably get an extended time off post World Cup, depending on how Australia do. He's a bit young. You've got to remember, Elliot Anderson's getting minimal minutes right now, and he's 2.5, 3 years older than Garang Kual. So
I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the World Cup, though, because listen, whether he comes on as sub or he starts a couple of games, he will get time on the pitch. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, any minutes for him is great for us.
Yeah,
he just needs more experience and play time.
Lee says, I can see us going for Modric and Maddison at the same time, and they will announce the new shirt stadium sponsor to wipe out what we spent. That's not a bad idea.
To be fair, they did that with Botman and Noon, didn't they? So they have done that before.
And of course, if a new sponsorship deal, etc., that's certainly in the pipeline. Mark says, is Hamza Chowdhury still available? Good God, remember those days. I remember being excited due to the possibility of just signing someone. Yeah, how times have changed. Toon United says Newcastle are reportedly prepared to pay 45 million for Christian Pulisic in the January transfer window, according to US media. He's been linked with us many, many times in the summer, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he had a lot of questions about the World Cup, and he wasn't playing a lot of minutes under Thomas Tuchel, and it was all a bit up in the air. I think that ship has potentially sailed now. Well, maybe not, but I've not heard that from any other sources. US media tends to be only US media. I've not heard it from anywhere else. If it is from anywhere else, then feel free to send me a link.
Yeah, but you know what the rumour mills are like as soon as they get going. Right, who's our first player up for tonight, Alex? Here we go. Maximo Perrone.
Yeah, Maximo Perrone. Argentinian. So there's no face for some reason on his FBref profile. I'm still getting used to the new FBref. It has been since taken over. It's stats bomb of well, I don't know what the ins and outs are, whether they've sold it, lost it, whatever. But it's now run by Opta. So I'm very, very sad because if we scroll down, we don't get any pressure stats anymore via FBref, which is really frustrating because I loved seeing the pressure stats.
Well, that's a disgrace. That's a disgrace.
Yeah. So hence why I have to pester Kev to get pressures, although he shouldn't be giving out really too much stats bomb stuff, as it is a very good paid piece of service. So who is he? He is really, really impressive is who he is. So where do these links come from? They have come from originally Agustin Sileo, who is a journalist and constantly tweets about the club. They were then also forwarded by Cesar Luis Merlo, who is like a bigger journalist who also reports on Colombian and Mexican football in different countries. So it's come from two different sources, very, very close to that sort of stuff. And then it's since been retweeted and rehashed by Relevo and Sean Casey and other people. But it did come 4, 5, 6 days ago from sources in South America. So it's come from source. So I'm willing to have a look. I'm willing to listen. It seems fairly decent. So he is a midfielder. He's a left-footed midfielder. Stats are a bit squiffy because they play funny football over there. It starts in March and all of that. It's all gone funny because of the World Cup, as similarly when we've talked about the Brazilian league as well.
Yeah.
And he has to play Common Ball Libertadores as well as the first division, so they're in funny group stage. They do like a World Cup format in their own. It's all crazy. I guess it's just Champions League format, isn't it? I guess we've got the same. So he plays for Velez Sarsfield. I don't know how we're saying that. Who are having an absolute torrid time at the moment. So let's scroll down and have a look at his stats. So there's all this talk about number 6. Should we buy a proper defensive midfielder so we can let Bruno play further forward? At the moment, we're having to do a funny makeshift using Dan Burn to let Bruno get further forward. Whereas the long-term goal is, you would imagine, to have a more aggressive fullback compared to Burn. No offense to Burn. to have a more traditional attacking left back and just have a proper DM and let Bruno go a bit further forward and then have a bit more balance on both sides, potentially. Is this kid that person? I mean, maybe. Stats are only from the Commonwealth Libertadores, so they're not from his league form, which is important to note, and I will tell you why in a minute. But for a kid who's 19 years old to be putting in, well, that's very nice. Very, very nice. 3.29 tackles per 90 with an interception, blocks. He is physical. He's dominant. He doesn't give up the ball very easily. He's a competent dribbler as well. Good output as well with goals and assists for the minutes that he's played. Passing here is quite low, but I think this is a bit of an unfair evaluation of him. Because I've had a look at his recent games in the league, much better than this. I think this does him dirty. This does him real dirty. These stats are from May. A lot of these games were played sort of group stages around May and stuff like that. So he's played a lot of football since then, and he's improved a lot. So if we go onto his sofa score, there we go. We can see what he actually looks like. So this is the young man that we may or may not get to see regularly in a black and white shirt. We never know. So the whole big deal about him that's been leaked on Twitter is apparently he has a €9 million release clause, dependent on several things. He's contracted until December 2023, and his valuation here is 8.2. I always click down. Anybody that we're linked with, I always say that the valuation's lower. You never know. If we all do it, then you never know. We might save some money.
Yeah.
So if we scroll down, as you can see, so if we go on standings, his club are right the way. So Boca Juniors in first. They
usually are.
28 teams in the division. Argentina's a funny place for football. 28 teams in the league. They're in 26th. They're having a bit of a stinker this year with a -3 goal difference. I mean, they've got more than a point a game, which is their safety ratio in theory, but they're not doing great. And strangely enough, they've got an extremely competent midfielder in this young man coming through the ranks. So if we go and have a look at his recent performances in the actual league, is that the most recent? It is. So, all right, this is going to be a bit backwards and forwards. I do apologize, so bear with me. Oh, and there is also
when Independiente not Argentinian. Because I don't see them in that league, and I'm thinking
possibly not.
Oh, they are 14th.
They are somewhere, surely. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, 14th. Wow, they're quite a huge club over there as well. It's a very strange league.
Newell's as well.
Yeah,
they do go up and down. So lineups for this game, he is started. Oh God! So they change formation all the time. It's given me a bit of whiplash for the amount of times this club change formation. They do also have Diego Godin as their centre back, the old Atletico Madrid centre back. A very, very, very good player. He's there at the moment. So Perrone, if we click on his name and then scroll across. So fingers crossed this is one of the examples that is true. It is. Lovely. So as you can see, 74 touches, 87% passing accuracy. It's a lot of passes as well. Long balls 1 out of 2. Decent amount of ground duels, gets a dribble in. And if we go to... So I'm gonna show you a couple of these games just to kind of disprove his FB ref somewhat, that every game I was having a look at, he was getting really, really, really high pass rates. And lots of long balls, and there's no issue. There you go. Look at this one. So he scored 73 out of 77 passes with a 95% accuracy, 2 long balls, key pass, winning duels. Again, only 19 years old. Scroll across, and he has been used as a substitute on occasion. And there is an injury situation, which I explained to Paul off camera, which we will get to in a minute.
Yeah.
Which is why this guy was playing, I believe. So let's go and have a look and bring him back on. There he is from the bench. Oh God, he didn't play. He came on the 82nd minute, and look at that, 10 out of 10 passes. 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, 2 out of 2 duels. So he came on for all of about 10 minutes and just was exceptional. So I would take his FB ref with a pinch of salt. I think he's a lot more competent than that suggests, especially in his own league. He seems to be at that age where he's growing from month to month to month, and we've seen it with our own players that these lads can improve, over the space of a few months. It's not impossible.
Yeah. Well, he looks okay to me. I mean, again, a young player with a good potential. But do you want to explain the injury, Alex?
Yeah, so pneumothorax is a collapsed lung. So he got a collapsed lung in a game, but he's all right now, I think. So,
well, I mean, it's fair to say it's an awful injury, but people do recover from collapsed lungs. It is something that is.
I did Google it to make sure. A collapsed lung. Yeah, so it is a collapsed lung. I did Google it.
Yeah.
So he's had one of them. He missed 52 days, 13 matches. And then I was just trying to find some articles about where that, the manager talking about the situation. But very, very competent. Very, very competent indeed. And if we actually go onto his team, which here they are, Vélez Sarsfield, there we go. And if we scroll down, we can see Diego Godin, if people remember him. Is their highest rated player.
He must be 106 years old now, though, surely.
Oh, he's got to be getting on a bit, hasn't he?
Just a bit, yeah.
And I found it really weird that they're right down in 26th place, and they average 58% possession per game. So they're quite a dominant team. They're quite.
Yeah.
This is a team that I haven't watched. I've not watched them play. I've had to do as much digging as I could. I can't be aware of everybody that exists. But I just found this rather strange. So now this name has cropped up in the last week. I will try and catch a game or two and see what the crack is. But it's quite strange that they're right the way down the league and they've got a few competent players and their possession so high. If
maybe
anybody,
it is because they've got defenders that are 105 years old.
Well, let's being as we're here, we might as well let's click on him. Might break the internet. Oh God, yeah, he is getting on a bit. So
yeah, I thought he was around 37. So I mean,
he's pretty cheap. Back up.
No, I think we'll pass. He was a tremendous player in his peak, without a shadow of a doubt. But
yeah.
Nah.
So back to the stats. I think here passes attempted and pass completion is quite low. But I think, as I've shown you, if you go and have a look at all of his games in the league, they're a lot better than that. They're all 85, 90% pass completions. He's getting 2-3 long balls a game, and he's maintaining his tackle rate. And if you can go and watch some YouTube of him as well. Fair enough, it's only YouTube. It's people will chop up his best bits, which always inflates it slightly. But just to give you a general idea, I think he's quite tidy, and I'm happy to do some more research.
Apparently he's got an £8 million release clause. So if that's the case, £8 million, that's quite a nifty little price to pay for someone with a talent like that.
It is cheap. I think he's made appearances. I think he's made one appearance for Argentina under 20s, and then a handful, maybe 7 appearances for the under 16s. So he's been picked the odd occasion for the international youth setup.
Yep.
But yeah, one to keep an eye on in the next month, definitely.
Absolutely. Rani Granny's back. Maddison is going to Spurs, is all agreed, unfortunately. We need to bring in Edison Alvarez, El Machine, and that talented Irish guy from QPR. Apparently, Perrone looks like a young Van Persie. John's had both lungs collapse. Oh, dear. Shane says, for a young fella to look good in South America is huge because the football in that region is very physical. I'd say more physical than that in England.
Oh yeah, there's a funny about that. He's exactly right. It's hilarious. Let me put it back on screen. Where's I need to get their games back up for the club. Where was it?
While you're doing that, Lee says, Arani Granny, it's not agreed Maddison is going to Spurs at all. I don't think anybody knows, to be honest. Mary said, I had lungs collapse and I have a scar on mine. John says he got put in a medically induced coma a day before the takeover. Yes, John, I remember you saying you missed the takeover because of it. Wow. It can happen to anyone, but more like if you're tall and thin.
I mean, he's 5'10".
I think though, if you get, a collapsed lung can be caused by, obviously if you have a heavy blow onto the lungs, lots of people suffer car accidents and end up having a punctured lung and things like that, and it's not nice, not nice at all. There you go.
Yeah, here's the funny. Just nice to elaborate on the point that the league's quite physical. Red
card,
no red, 3 reds, red, red, red. This is the same team. This is like a run of 5 or 6 fixtures where it's just constant red cards. I thought
that might be a reason where they are in the league, to be fair.
Well, they're not all for
it's
them,
not against them, is it? Yeah.
It was the opposition in a few of those. They got 2 red cards in that game. Okay, half of them are their own games. I think they should probably stop getting red carded. That might help slightly.
Definitely.
Although they've won some of the games in which they've been red carded, so well done.
Indeed. Ryan's in the chat. Good evening, Ryan. Interesting. He says, hi, moderators and all. My time is highly likely coming to an end on here and everywhere else at the end of the week. I'll elaborate on it tomorrow during the fan forums. One day I'll be at St. James's Park. We'll find out on the fan forum what that big announcement is.
He's been cryptic all day.
Yeah, he has.
Just tell us, man.
I'm not sure. Me and Susan have been having a chat and just seeing what is he moving to England? Is things about the many things. But obviously he's waiting until the fan forum to tell us tomorrow. So there you go. Newcastle United today says in Argentina they play football with MMA. Yes, I'd agree with that. Spacebar says, such a shame, Ryan. We will miss you. Well, we don't know what it is yet. Let's just wait and see. Obviously, there'll still be options for him, I would have thought. Lee says, what about Jeffinho?
Yeah, he's on the list.
He's on the list. He is. Yes.
Actually, his name is Jefferson Juan Pereira dos Santos.
Everybody's Brazilian name ends Dos Santos, doesn't it?
It's always like 5 names.
But it always seems to be Dos Santos at the end of it. It's crazy. Geordie Rick says, I missed the start, so watching from the beginning. Ian thinks Ryan's problem is that the Beavers are becoming unstoppable. Darren says, I heard we've been linked with Wilfred Zaha. I can't. Do you really think, Alex, Zaha?
I think he's a good player. I think he would probably work, but
is he not one of these players that's like all about him kind of thing?
A little bit, yeah. This is what I mean. I think he might work, and it might be a good addition, but I don't like it. It would take a lot of convincing for me to be happy with him in a black and white shirt because I'm not a big fan of him. I think he's a good player, but I'd rather we went in a different direction.
Yeah,
I just prefer it. I like the way. I like the personality of the signings we've been bringing on board, and just I'd prefer to do it the way we've been doing it. Because he seems like we avoided the Lingard transfer and the Dele Alli. He seems like he could be another one of them where maybe we should avoid it because it might go wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Novik says, evening, Paul and Alex. I had a part collapsed lung after my 6 hernias repair. Pain was unbelievable. I mean, I suffered I must admit, when I broke my ribs playing ice hockey, the thought that I'd punctured a lung, I hadn't, but bloody hell, the pain was still as bad. Just, it's awful. Cesare says, Paul, can you put a poll up on what Ryan's big news could be, since he's been all dark and mysterious? Well, what we'll do is tomorrow night at the fan forum, we'll start the poll right at the beginning, and then we'll give it around 15, 20 minutes, and then he can say what he wants to say and see if anybody's guessed it. But it's very hard to put a poll up when we don't have any clue what it might be. So we'll see. Barney Rubble says he does disappear if he gets smashed early, does Zaha. Yeah, he's too twisty, man. That's the problem. He's not for me. Dark Elf says player personality is the key, especially in this team of brothers. Zaha could be a replacement for St. Maxi, says Darren. Nah. Please don't say negative stuff about Maxi, for God's sake. Definitely not. No. I don't know if I pronounced that right or what. I wonder if we'll go back in for Diaby. What are his stats this season? Not great, I don't think. I think we could.
I don't think he's doing too badly. I think Leverkusen are just having an absolute shocker. I'll have a look.
Yeah. Paqueta was in space. What? I don't know what the hell that
Julie
is.
Paquette.
Right. Rachel says Ryan has eaten a Greg's sausage roll and it's changed his life that he's moving, going to live in Berkeley. Well, there you go. That's an option. Is there any truth in Matt Ritchie leaving? I think a lot of truth, to be honest. What do you reckon, Alex?
Calling me Ryan now. I mean, his contract expires at the end of the season, so yes.
Do you think he'll go into coaching staff or will he move back down south, do you think?
I would be happy either way. I think he's a nice lad. I really love the fact that he was quite happy to have a fight with Steve Bruce. He's got the character. If he wants to go and play some more football, the problem is I think Bournemouth might be a little bit beyond him now, possibly. Yeah, I think he might have to drop. I think he might have to take another step down if he wants regular minutes, and if he wants to try and play another couple of years at a reasonable level and enjoy some more football. I think he's going to have to take a step down, possibly. And if he chooses to go into coaching, I would accept that. Hopefully, he's good enough. Either way, yeah. And then if he wants to do a third, completely different option, it's his life, I guess. But
indeed,
yeah, I'd be happy for him to stay with the club. I think he's done enough.
I wouldn't have a problem. I think obviously, Eddie Howe keeps him around the squad anyway. I think that says to me a lot. He's obviously very vocal in the dressing room still, which isn't a bad thing. We know what his passion's like, and if you can pass that passion on to some of the players, then all is good. Barney Rubble says, I think Maxi will come back a beast while the others are at the World Cup. Angelica says, had to have my lung drained once. I had pneumonia and pleurisy at the same time. Bloody hell. Shoot the Thrill says, don't worry, you've got all your nasty injuries ahead of you. Then you can fully join the Toon Review medical family. Absolutely.
Oh, look, who's decided breathing on this channel, are we? Everybody's got collapsed lungs.
Yeah, wow, it's unbelievable. Look who's decided to join us, Mr. Potato Head from Qatar. Greetings, lads. Diaby would be okay, but Madison for me, just him would do. Ryan's big news is that Jonathan David is joining the Toon. And obviously, Ryan's going to be his kit man to carry his luggage everywhere. So there you go. Spacebar says he wants to go and play for Portsmouth before he retires. He said that once or twice, hasn't he, that he wants to do that.
Diaby, by the way, has got 9 goals in 1,200 minutes. 2 goals in the Champions League in the group. He's doing fine. He's still ticking along. It's just Leverkusen that are having a shocker. He's not doing bad at all.
Yeah. Ian says Ryan has been signed as Ronaldo's replacement. Apparently, Ryan is moving in with John Sinclair. No one's talking about the departures. Well, because we don't know. I mean, it's all very, very quiet on the departures. And until we know that this team's interested in players, then we'll talk about them. But there is literally nothing in the media about any players leaving Newcastle or linked with any other clubs. It's bizarre. The one player that will be linked with other clubs is, of course, Bruno, who already has been linked with Real Madrid and Chelsea, etc. But it's mental. Oh, and by the way, while on the subject of Spanish teams, FC Barcelona, naff off. You know what they've done? They've put a copyright claim into my intro music, right? That intro music is original music belonging to myself. And I got an email today from YouTube saying the copyright claim has been put in by FC Barcelona for the first 10 seconds of my intro music. I mean, what the hell? So Barcelona, go away and make up your own introduction music for your YouTube channel. Bloody hell, it's not like you can't go out and do something. You've got enough bloody techie people there. My God, trying to pinch just a Newcastle United YouTuber's bloody music. I think it's filth. Anyway, we'll move on. Everybody's talking about pleurisy and bloody Bust lungs. Look, it's not Dr. Phil. It's the Toon Review, okay? Anyway, running up that hill has said Eden Hazard has been mentioned. Would you like Eden to sign for us? Do you know what? I don't think I would. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where he is in his career. You know what I mean, Alex? I just think like he's had injuries. It hasn't gone right at Real Madrid. I'm just not sure.
I mean, is he better than Murphy, Fraser, and Ritchie? Yes.
Well, yes, he is. Yes.
Is it the right signing for who we are and where we are right now? Probably not. It's, you know, both can be correct at the same time, I think.
I'm not sure. Spacebar says Richie is a Portsmouth lad, and if we can help him get the move to Portsmouth, then that's brilliant. He has been a fantastic servant. We should help him facilitate that move. Well, I'm sure we will see. Christopher Hughes says Joe Linton is an absolute monster. Absolutely. Shola and Sammy are free agents. Get out of it. Sean says, I don't like Zaha, but apparently he's a very nice person when he's not on the football pitch. He gives a lot of money to the homeless people and young kids football team in his local area. I see this on a documentary. Well, good on him, but the problem is, why can't he be like that on the football pitch? Why can't he just play football instead of having that kind of weird attitude that he's got? It doesn't make sense. I don't like to see that. George is late again, so he's off to the start. Rochi says Ryan's been rescued from the basement after all these years. Someone recognized him on milk carton.
He has us in the shed, not in the basement. We're all in the shed.
Yeah, indeed.
The mods get biscuits once a fortnight.
Yeah. Barney Rubble says Eddie gives nothing away about people leaving. He doesn't want anything to disrupt the group. Exactly. And that's why it's there. Ian says, wow, Paul, Barcelona watching you. Yeah, it's shocking. Julie J says Barcelona want Bruno and they're throwing the toys out of the pram. Yeah, so they're attacking Newcastle YouTubers. Shocking. Right, who's next, Alex?
It is Jeffinho. And it's not this strange mustached man, whoever that is.
No.
He's not got a picture up, but so yeah, Jeffinho, Jefferson Duran, Pereira dos Santos, whatever we're going to call him.
Oh, he's another Dos Santos, is he?
Well, I mean, this is the same one from earlier.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you meant the other one, Pereira. Oh, he's Argentinian as well, isn't he? So carry on. I'll shut my mouth.
Yeah, so this guy's a little bit older, 22, 319 days. So not going to be 22 for too much longer, a couple more months. Yeah. Brazil, Botafogo, as opposed to Argentina. Couple of goals, 3 assists from 4.1 xG. His stats are a bit the wrong way around, really. He should be on 4 goals and 1 assist, and he's not. He's on 2 goals, 3 assists. A bit squiffy. But we'll go and have a look at his SofaScore score because it shows us what he looks like, so you can kind of know who we're talking about. So he's a right-footed left winger, according to SofaScore. So kind of maxi positions and wings. Outrageously low valuation here at 91,000. So very cheap for some reason.
That can't be right.
No, it's definitely not.
Jesus Christ.
So if we go down and have a look at a few recent games of him in, just so you can get an idea as to how Botafogo actually line up. They are down here. Here we are. Is that the Fernandinho? I think that might be. Who are they playing against? Atletico. Is that Fernandinho? I'm really sorry.
It is.
I'm going to check.
I'm pretty sure it is, Alex.
Is that Fernandinho? I'm intrigued. This is what I spend all my time doing when I do my show research.
Yeah, 37. Yeah, it is.
I just go down rabbit holes and I never. It is. It's Fernandinho. It is, yeah. See, look how these play. You just find so many little nuggets. It's hilarious. So yeah, we're looking at the lads in black here. I'll give you 10 points if you could pronounce that midfielder's name as well.
Who?
Number 6.
Number 6. Where are we at? Oh, touche.
I've got no idea. I saw it earlier. And touche. I'm assuming he's Portuguese or Brazilian Portuguese. If anybody in the chat can speak Portuguese, please tell me how to say that.
It's got to be Touche, isn't it?
I mean, I'm not having a go. You can have a go.
Or touchy.
So in a 4-2-3-1 is how they line up. He's out on the left in a 4-2-3-1. You know, this could be kind of a funky little system we could play if we've got sort of a Maddison as well. I'd like to see us try a 4-2-3-1 at some point. And if we scroll down and have a look, 22 out of 28 passes. He's a dribbly boy. If we get into the meat and veg of it, he's a dribbly boy and he's quite strong. 8 out of 15 ground duels. He's ratty. He's getting involved. 3 fouls. 3 was fouled. So he wants the ball constantly. He wants to dribble. He's one of them. He is one of them. He's just everywhere. I wish Maxi had a little bit more tenacity with that kind of regard. It would be nice. So go down and have a look at his FBref or Opta FBref, whatever we're calling it now. So this is based on 1,600 minutes. All the dribbles. He is doing all of the dribbling. 4 dribbles per 90. Completing is disgusting, quite frankly. It is in the top 2%. It is as outrageous. Maxi's doing 4-ish as well. It's the elite level dribbling. He's contributing with 3 shots per game, which is also just competent. Wrong word. I need more adjectives. Give me some more adjectives, people. 91st percentile. It's crazy. Shot creating actions is also right the way up there with 4.71. So he's really, really, really good for the team. Really, really creating lots of opportunities, taking lots of shots, doing lots of dribbling, just really, really dangerous. Plays in a nice, competent system in a 4-2-3-1. I think they vary formation as well. Mm-hmm. I really like this guy. I think he's really interesting. But to be fair, he's one of many that we've looked at. That we've looked at so many that are right-footed on this left wing that are quite explosive. Mm-hmm. We've looked in Brazil. We looked at somebody. I think we looked at Suleimana as well in France. We've looked at a lot of players that can do this really, really explosive running, lots of shots, lots of shot creating actions as well. He's 181 centimeters, which is what is that, about 6 foot-ish, 6'1", 6 foot. Mm-hmm. So you can see why the ground duels are being won so significantly. He's not a tiny winger. Excuse me. But again, he's not 18, 19. He is nearly 23. Yeah. So it's not like he's a child. You would expect him to be winning some more ground duels. Yeah. And I also
expect him to be coming in as a first team player, really, wouldn't you, at that age?
Yes, you would imagine so. You don't want to be loaning somebody out who's 23, really. I have seen him play, and I don't remember it because I watched a game that Botafogo were in, and apparently he was playing. I can't remember him, so I'm going to go and watch more Botafogo games. Yeah, I can't remember all the players. Unfortunately, as I've said, I'm quite happy to be honest. When I've seen him, I'll say I've seen him. If I haven't, I'll say I haven't. I'm just really frustrated in myself that I have seen a fixture with his team and can't remember him. Where obviously he didn't have a very good game. So
yeah, clearly.
We will come back to him if the links persist. And hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, once I've seen some of these lads play a bit more and gone and watched some old footage and stuff, we can have a more in-depth chat about them as well. But Jeffinho as well. Let's just get all the Argentinians and Brazilians in. Sod it. It's just, South Americans are amazing. Bruno.
Clarky says Tushi has a big mustache. Carlos says his name's Tucci. Terrace says Chi. Alvin says Che with a silent T. Good God. Julie J says Feely. Bandar says, Paul, I meant the players that should leave the club to make a space. Well, I think we know who those players are, Bandar. We've said it quite a few times who we think should leave the club, and it's their time, really. Mary says, thank you, Julie. Well done, Stato. Just walked in that. Touche. Mark says, that fella's name is Dave. Yeah, it's an easy name to pronounce. So, if ever he was on a team where we were doing commentary on, I think myself and Billy would probably refer to a name like Dave, it would just flow a little more easily off the tongue than Tucci.
I'll get the translate out in a minute, and we'll see how it's actually said.
Yeah. A lot like the French word "ches," but with a nearly silent T. Barney Rubble says Ashworth will find us some gems. Yeah. Julie J says Danilo das Neves Panino, known by his nickname Tishi. Well, there you go, Danilo. So there you go. Thank you for that, Julie. Clarky says Helenio sounds like a good player. Personally, I think work rate is a good guide for players that suit our style of play. Agreed, definitely.
I mean, I've got it on translate, but it just sounds like Chinese, to be fair.
Sheshe. You've gone mute, Alex. You've gone mute.
Yeah, that means thank you in Chinese. I'm a bit confused by that.
Interesting. Abs says Paul's command of Portuguese always impresses. Why, thank you, Abs. I know it does. I know you're very impressed with the way I pronounce foreign names. Paul Gallant says, I hope in January the 3rd, 3 are in the door, at least to push us towards European football next season. Stephen says, no to Jeffinho. I couldn't be done with everyone saying unbelievable, Jeff.
Oh, that is a cracking name, isn't it?
The Wood.
We got the best names.
Yeah.
And then we can have a Jeff or no Jeff. We can do has it been said or not said?
Dear God. Oh, God. King Hoddle, our resident Spurs fan, says you can have Emerson, Doherty and Sanchez for free. When can I drive them over? No, thank you.
I mean, you can throw Son in that list as well, and we'll talk.
Yeah, Son, yeah. What's him who scored a few goals at the weekend?
Kulusevski.
No.
Well, he didn't score, but he's good.
Who's the guy that scored 2 goals in 2 minutes?
I can't remember the game. I don't remember the game. That was 4-3 Tottenham, wasn't it?
Yeah, against Leeds.
Who scored? Was it Bentancur?
Bentancur, yeah, that's him. Yes.
Yeah, he's very good.
I'd have him. John's Backdoor says, I've heard of this Abella Danger. Is she any good? Cesare says, Paul, I like it when you talk foreign. Yeah, okay. And King Huddle says, you ain't having Sonny. Well, no to the other players, but thank you for your offer. Have you got one more, Alex, I think?
I mean, there's a few we could cycle back around and have a look at, but I think we've got to look at the big boy. Even if he is linked to Arsenal, we'll have a look at Modric's stats again and just see how things are going.
Yeah.
We have some data on him now. He's played over 500 minutes in the Champions League, so we can look, and it's really funny. So I'll explain it before you see it, because you'll understand exactly what I've said when you see the graphs. He does certain things, he does all of them, and then there are things he does nothing of, absolutely nothing.
Wow. Okay. Dear God.
I know, right?
Oh, that can't be right on the bottom, surely. That cannot possibly. Really?
I mean, it's based on 572 minutes, and it includes.
So in 572 minutes, Alex, he's attempted 1 pass. Are we expected to believe that?
No, that's it. That's the percentile.
Oh, the percentile. But is that an average of 27 passes per game?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Right. I get you now. I was going to say,
it's just quite funny. I've never seen such a stark contrast before in graphics. It's essentially completing dribbles, receiving progressive passes, touches in the attacking penalty area are all through the roof, elite level numbers, as are his all of his attacking data, apart from his shot creating actions, is all very, very competent. Some of it's elite. And then anything to do with link up or defensive contributions just doesn't exist at all. Zero.
Well, that would get me really saying, Alex, that he's not an Eddie Howe player.
I mean, I've seen him play, and he doesn't play like this graphic suggests necessarily. I think this needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. I think we the last few times I think we've looked, there's certain plays that we haven't had data on, and now he's got a graph. I wanted to show it, of course. I don't know if I agree with this necessarily. I think this skews it somewhat. You've got to remember that they'll potentially play in different ways in the UCL as well, and Shakhtar have been reasonably good. And let's not forget 3 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League group stages. He is no joke. 5 goal contributions in 6 matches against, it's not just like he was doing it in the Ukrainian Premier League. He was doing it against the best in Europe. Shakhtar are a decent team. and then 5 goals and 6 assists in only 700 domestic minutes as well. It's pretty bonkers. 11 goal contributions. That's almost Miggy standard. Well, a little bit better than Miggy, but just goal return, competency, super good flair player. Well, I say flair, wrong word necessarily. He's not quite flair like Brazil flair, but very exciting, I think is a fair word. I don't want to do too much on him because his name is constantly just rotating around in the media, and it does look like Arsenal. Everybody keeps saying that Arsenal's done more groundwork, whatever that means. There are people suggesting that there have been representatives over as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But it's us and Arsenal at the moment are the two names that seem to be at the table in regards to his signature. But all the media suggestions point to Arsenal. So we'll wait and see.
What money are we talking about?
I think it's been sort of anywhere between 40 and 60 has been branded about. It'll be expensive. Because originally he was touted as the cheaper alternative to Moussa Diaby. And now that's not the case because he's good. So, it's similarly to when we were linked with Darwin Nunez in the early transfer window in January. And then he just kept scoring and scoring and scoring. And then his price just went through the roof. And there was only a handful of teams going to compete for a signature after that. And this guy's doing the same. He's not only putting up the numbers, he's doing it in the Champions League, which holds so much weight.
Yeah.
So if there's anything more concrete comes back around, we can have another look. It's just a case of wait and seeing with him. Because
Arsenal did more groundwork than we did on Bruno. That's interesting. So, just because he's very much linked with Arsenal, as we know from Bruno, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to Arsenal. But obviously, I think the fact that there's a Ukrainian already at Arsenal might just sway him a little bit. Just so, especially with what's going on at the minute in the Ukraine, there's a lot of camaraderie going on and things like that. And I think
is he their captain, Zinchenko? I think he is, isn't he?
Arsenal's captain.
No,
he's Ukrainian's
captain. Yeah. I think that you never know, that might influence his decision possibly.
Yeah. And look, it's going to be. I think the transfer window, the winter one, is going to be absolutely balmy, to be honest, because there's a lot of players going to be linked as there usually is. But given where Newcastle United are in the league now going into this transfer window, I think there's going to be some crazy stories going on.
Let's not forget, we are in a better place to sign players than we were in the summer.
100%.
Because the summer, it was all hypothetical. Maybe we'll be challenging for Europe. Maybe we won't. Now we literally are in the right place. So those contract negotiations and those agent phone calls aren't going to be jokes anymore. They're serious this time. They're not ifs and maybes. They're absolute concretes. So that will definitely help.
And you know what? There'll be a lot of player talk going on at the World Cup as well with the Newcastle players about what it's, certain players who have been linked may ask Newcastle players about what it's like. You never know what goes on behind the scenes. And certainly the way it's going for Newcastle at the minute, you just don't know. And there's a lot of players going to be a lot more interested in coming to Newcastle now. They'll have seen what's going on. They'll have seen the atmosphere. They'll have seen what it's like to play at Newcastle, given the TV coverage we've been getting, and the camaraderie between the players and the fans, all that kind of thing goes in our favor when it comes to signing these big players. We're not going to sign. It's clear we're not going to sign the world-class players just yet. It will come down the line, but I think we're probably looking at maybe a slightly better caliber of player coming in than what we may have expected at the start of the season.
I do think this is very different, though. It's a very different approach to what some of the other takeovers have been like. We seemingly are playing this like a Football Manager save. I think it's the Dan Ashworth. I think it's all the setup work behind the scenes and the infrastructure. In terms of personnel, it's just we seem to be having these we've got a lot of these scouting networks in place a lot quicker than I thought we would have done. And there's names popping up that I never thought. I expected us to start fishing in sort of wonder kid markets at some point, but I didn't think it was going to be this quickly. And it seems some of the links with Andre Santos and Angelo Gabriel and stuff, some of them are fairly well sourced now. I think whether we get them or not, I don't know. But I think we can safely say that the links are true and they exist because they've been reported by Tom, Dick, Harry, absolutely bloody everybody, and some high sources as well. So there's definitely something in it. We're definitely shopping in those markets, and it's lovely. So we're not looking at throwing 40 and 50 million pound players. We're looking at. It seems like we're trying to do that a little bit, and then go and find wonder kids and build up good networks, and while simultaneously tending to the academy. We've got a lot of eggs in a lot of baskets, and potentially this is if we think that we're well ahead of schedule now. If this clicks, we could be, you never know. If we get 4 or 5 of these wonder kids through in the next 2 seasons, and 2 or 3 of them start being part of the first team setup and playing well, and we sign well, you never know. That this might only be the beginning of being ahead in the project. We'll have to wait and see.
It is very, very exciting, whichever way we go. But we do have to obviously. We do trust the owners, and we'll see what we can do with them. I mean, Barney says there you don't get to third that often, so you may as well throw the kitchen sink at it. I don't think they will, though. Like Alex has just said, they're very coy about where they spend the money and what players they go for. They identify the players, and then they really stick to the guns.
We're not going to be third in a few seasons. That's going to be a failure. And when we get third in like 5 years' time.
Yeah, that's mad to say, isn't it? It's absolutely mad to say. But there you go. Right, that is it for tonight, guys. Thank you very, very much for tuning in to the Transfer Show. There will be a lot more of these coming up through November and December as we head into the transfer window in January. But we will be starting to ramp up the World Cup shows from Thursday. Tomorrow night we do have the fan forum on, and that will be interesting. We'll be talking about the Chelsea game, obviously, talking about the second half of the season, how you guys feel about Newcastle and where we are and what you expect, and of course we'll touch on the World Cup, and then from Thursday we'll ramp it up for the World Cup as well. So we've got lots of watch-alongs during the World Cup. Lots of latest news from the World Cup as well as from Newcastle, because we'll always keep an eye on the Toon as well, because when they come back in a couple of weeks' time, it's going to be like a mini pre-season for them. So that's to be talked about as well. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you to everybody that super chatted and the mod squad. Thank you so much. Alex, thank you very much for tonight, and we will see you again tomorrow night at 8:30 for the fan forum. But don't forget, if you have enjoyed the show, do hit that like button before you leave. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you like what you've seen, please do hit that subscribe button, which is free to do so, and also the notification bell, which will let you know when we upload or we go live. You can become a member of the Toon Review if you hit that join button. Lots of member prizes to give away. We've got some more coming up very soon. And why not join our Facebook group? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We're on there as well. So thank you very much. And me and Billy will see you tomorrow night for the fan forum. Until then, good night.